The galaxy believed humans were reckless, emotional, and weak compared to ancient space empires. Many species saw them as new players pretending to be powerful. So when a single human battleship drifted near the border of Alliance space, the alien fleet saw an opportunity. Admiral Korth of the Zyre Dominion stood on the command deck of his flagship. His golden armor reflected the light of distant stars. Before him, thousands of warships formed a perfect circle around one silent human vessel. It did not raise shields. It did not power weapons. It did not attempt to flee. It simply waited. "Scan the human ship," Admiral Korth ordered calmly. Hundreds of advanced scanners activated at once. Energy beams crossed space and touched the dark metallic surface of the human battleship. At first, everything seemed normal. Length, 3 kilometers. Mass, heavy but acceptable. Weapon ports, hidden but detectable. Then the numbers changed. A science officer frowned. "Admiral, the mass is increasing." Korth did not react. "By how much?" "It has doubled." Silence filled the bridge. Then it doubled again. Without moving. Without activating engines. The human ship remained still, yet its readings kept changing. "Is it powering hidden systems?" Korth asked. "No, Admiral. It shows no energy surge." Another officer interrupted, voice shaking slightly. "Internal scan shows empty corridors." "Empty?" Korth turned. "No life signs detected. No crew." "That is impossible. It is a battleship." The scanners went deeper. And then something happened that no one expected. The interior space of the ship did not match its exterior size. Inside, it appeared massive. Endless corridors. Vast chambers. Structures that bent at impossible angles. Some rooms seemed larger than entire cities. One young analyst whispered, "The inside is bigger than the outside." The bridge grew quiet. "That violates physical law," someone said softly. Suddenly, several scanning consoles sparked violently. One exploded. Another screen filled with strange symbols no one could read. "Shut down active scan," Korth commanded. But it was too late. The human ship responded. Every alien screen flickered at the same moment. Their scanners were no longer analyzing the human battleship. The battleship was analyzing them. Detailed data about the alien fleet appeared across their systems. Shield frequency. Weapon capacity. Structural weaknesses. Command codes. Even personal service records. "How is it accessing secured files?" the chief engineer shouted. "We are not transmitting." The answer came seconds later. A message appeared in simple text on every screen. "Scan acknowledged." The words were not translated. They appeared directly in every officer's native language. Fear slowly replaced pride on Admiral Korth's face. He ordered weapon systems online. Nothing happened. The fleet's weapon controls were locked. Not damaged. Locked. Another message appeared. Analysis complete. The temperature on the bridge seemed to drop. The human battleship finally moved. Its hull shifted slightly, as if a live metal adjusted itself. Strange lines of light traveled across its surface. Not weapon fire. Not shield activation. Something else. A deep pulse echoed across space. Not sound. A vibration that touched every ship. One of the science officers collapsed, overwhelmed by data flooding his station. "The ship is rewriting our scanning algorithms," the engineer whispered in horror. "It is using our technology against us." Admiral Korth felt something he had not felt in decades. Doubt. They came to observe a primitive species. Instead, they had touched something far older. One final reading appeared before all systems went dark for 3 seconds. Age of human battleship, unknown. Estimated combat history, classified. Threat level, unmeasurable. When power returned, the human ship was still there. Silent. Waiting. This time, the alien fleet did not see a target. They saw a warning. And somewhere deep inside that impossible vessel, something had awakened. Watching them back. The alien fleet did not retreat. But they no longer acted like hunters. They held formation at a safe distance, engines low, weapons offline. No one wanted to trigger whatever intelligence lived inside that human battleship. Admiral Korth stood silently on the bridge. His pride had faded. Now he needed understanding. Prepare a passive observation drone, he ordered. No scans. No signals. No aggression. A small stealth drone detached from the flagship. It moved slowly toward the human vessel, running on minimal power. It would only observe light, heat, and natural emissions. Nothing more. The human ship remained still. Dark. Cold. But as the drone approached, something strange appeared. The hull was not solid metal. Up close, it looked layered. Like scales. Like plates grown rather than built. Tiny lines of dim light moved beneath the surface, like veins carrying energy. This is not standard construction, the lead engineer whispered. The drone reached the outer hull and began visual mapping. At first, it showed empty corridors again. Long halls. Massive chambers. No crew. No machines. No control panels. Just structure. But then the image flickered. One corridor changed shape. Walls shifted. A door appeared where nothing existed before. The drone adjusted focus. The corridor stretched far deeper than before. Much deeper than the ship's physical size should allow. Space distortion detected, the science officer said carefully. Is it external? Korth asked. No, it's inside the ship. The drone slowly moved toward a large inner chamber visible through layered plating. Inside the chamber was something new. A core. Not mechanical. Not nuclear. It pulsed slowly like a living heart. Each pulse created a ripple in space itself. The closer the drone focused, the stranger the readings became. Time measurements inside the chamber fluctuated. 1 second stretched into 3. Then reversed. The drone's internal clock began malfunctioning. Pull it back, Korth said quietly. But the drone did not respond. Its camera feed zoomed closer to the core. Symbols appeared in the air around it. Not holograms. Not projections. They looked carved into reality itself. Ancient patterns. Mathematical structures no one recognized. Suddenly the feed changed. The drone was no longer viewing the chamber. It was inside it. Without passing through walls. The fleet gasped. Inside the core chamber stood something unexpected. A single chair. Empty. Facing the pulsing heart of the ship. There were no controls. No screens. As if whoever commanded this vessel did not need tools. The drone sent one final signal. Internal depth cannot be measured. Then the feed distorted completely. Instead of static, the screens showed something else. A battlefield. Alien ships destroyed by unknown creatures made of shadow. Human vessels fighting alone. Sacrificing themselves to stop something enormous behind a tear in space. These are not from our records, an officer whispered. No, the science chief replied slowly. They are older. The human ship was not showing random images. It was showing memory. Stored inside its structure. A record of wars no one remembered. The drone camera returned for one final frame. The empty chair was no longer empty. A shadow sat in it. Tall. Still. Watching. Every screen across the alien fleet went black at once. 3 seconds later, power returned. The drone was gone. Not destroyed. Not drifting. Completely erased from existence. A new message appeared on every bridge. You looked too deep. Admiral Korth did not speak for a long time. For the first time in his career, he understood something simple. They were not scanning a ship. They were standing before something that did not follow rules. And whatever lived inside that hull had allowed them to see only a fraction. The human battleship slowly powered its engines. And space around it bent, as if reality itself stepped aside. The alien fleet felt it before they measured it. Space itself became heavy. Not gravity. Not radiation. Something deeper. The human battleship drifted forward slowly, but every movement felt controlled, deliberate. It was no longer silent in a passive way. It was silent in a thinking way. Admiral Korth finally gave a careful order. Open a communication channel. For several long seconds, nothing happened. Then the reply came. Not through sound. Not through translation software. The message formed directly on every command screen at the same time. We remember you. The words were calm. Not angry. Not threatening. But they carried weight. Korth swallowed. We have never engaged your species in war. Another message appeared. Not you. Before you. The bridge fell silent. Before them, the hull of the human ship shimmered. Symbols appeared across its surface like scars glowing in the dark. They were not decorative. They were records. Suddenly every alien ship received a burst of data. Not an attack. A history file. The fleet watched unwillingly as images filled their screens. Ancient space. Primitive civilizations. A dark wave moving from star to star. Entire systems going silent. Ships made of living metal. Creatures formed from broken light. And then human vessels, smaller, weaker, standing in front of that darkness. The humans were not conquering. They were blocking. The alien officers stared in disbelief. The footage showed human fleets being destroyed again and again. Yet every time, more arrived. Stronger. Different. Adapting. They were learning, the science officer whispered. Each battle changed their designs. Each loss reshaped their technology. Each defeat improved them. The human battleship before them was not just a ship. It was evolution. One scene froze on screen. A massive structure orbiting a dying star. Humans working together, building something impossible. A warship that could bend internal space. A ship that could store memory. A ship that could think. The battleship is not controlled by humans, Korth said slowly. No, Admiral, the engineer replied. It is human. The meaning settled heavily over the bridge. The vessel remembered every battle it had survived. Every enemy it had faced. Every reality-breaking horror it had pushed back. Another message appeared. We stand. The alien fleet's long-range sensors suddenly screamed alerts. A tear opened at the edge of the system. Not a warp jump. Not hyperspace. A rip. Something was trying to enter. The same shape seen in the human memory files. A mass of shifting darkness. Alive. Hungry. The alien fleet panicked. Weapons powered. Shields raised. Formation broken. But the human battleship moved forward alone. Energy rippled across its surface. The glowing symbols brightened. Reality around it bent slightly, like heat waves on metal. A final message appeared to the alien fleet. Stay behind US. The alien commanders hesitated. Then obeyed. The tear widened. A massive limb made of shadow and fractured light reached through. The temperature across the system dropped sharply. Communications glitched. Time readings distorted. The human ship accelerated. Not through engines. Through distortion. Space folded slightly around it. It collided with the reaching darkness. There was no explosion. There was no sound. Only pressure. The battleship's hull changed shape mid-impact. Sections rearranged. Weapons that did not exist seconds before formed along its frame. It adapted instantly. The alien fleet watched in stunned silence. The human ship did not just fight. It countered. Each strike from the shadow creature was answered with a new configuration. New shields. New weapons. New physics. The warship remembered this enemy. And it refused to lose again. The alien officers finally understood. When they scanned the human battleship, they did not activate a weapon. They awakened a guardian. And now that guardian was doing what it was built to do. Hold the line. Again. The tear in space widened like a wound that refused to close. It was not a normal jump point. It was not a gate made by engines. It looked like reality had been pulled apart by invisible hands. The alien fleet shook with fear. Many captains tried to back away, but their ships moved slowly, like the system itself had become thick. Their navigators reported strange numbers. Distance readings changed every second. Some ships showed they were moving forward while their engines were in reverse. Admiral Korth watched the human battleship rush toward the tear. It did not ask for help. It did not wait for permission. It moved like it had done this many times before. The shadow creature pushed further through the rip. It had no clear shape. It was a mass of darkness and broken light, as if a star had been shattered and turned into a living storm. Parts of it looked like claws. Parts looked like eyes. But the eyes were not in one place. They appeared wherever someone looked. The alien weapons officers fired anyway. Beams of pure energy crossed space and hit the creature. Nothing happened. The beams bent, twisted, and vanished like smoke. The creature did not even react. It just kept coming. A terrible feeling spread across the fleet. It was not just fear. It was pressure in the mind. Like a voice pushing against their thoughts. Some officers clutched their heads. Others froze, staring at screens that were now filled with impossible symbols. "The thing is inside our systems," the engineer shouted. "It's not hacking. It's changing how our machines think." Admiral Korth tried to speak, but his throat tightened. He realized the creature was not only attacking ships. It was attacking the idea of order. It was breaking logic itself. Then the human battleship slammed into the creature again. This time, the human ship did something the alien fleet could not explain. It opened. Not like a hangar door. Like a mouth. A long line across the hull split and unfolded into a deep glowing space. Inside it was not metal. It was a moving field of stars, like a pocket sky. The shadow creature struck, sending a wave of darkness across the human hull. Parts of the human ship turned gray, like dead stone. But the ship did not weaken. Instead, it changed. Armor plates rearranged like living scales. New layers formed. Symbols burned brighter along the surface. A pulse spread from the ship, and the dead gray parts returned to black metal, rebuilt in seconds. "The ship is repairing itself," an alien officer whispered. "No," the science chief corrected, voice trembling. "It's rewriting itself." The shadow creature screamed. Not with sound, but with distortion. The entire system shook. Stars bent in the distance. The alien fleet's lights flickered. Some ships lost gravity and their crews floated helplessly. The human battleship held steady. It released a weapon that had no visible projectile. The space in front of it folded, and the shadow creature's arms snapped backward, as if it had hit an invisible wall. The creature reacted for the first time. It recoiled. Admiral Korth felt cold shock. The human ship had heard it. The human battleship moved closer to the tear. It placed itself directly in front of it, between the creature and the alien fleet. The message appeared again, calm and firm. Stay behind US. The alien fleet obeyed without shame now. Pride was useless here. The shadow creature pushed harder, trying to force itself fully into the system. The human ship's hull glowed brighter, the symbols shining like ancient warnings. Then the human ship sent one more message. Not today. The battleship's open section widened. That pocket sky inside it expanded, pulling at the tear like a tide pulling water. The creature fought back, but the human ship held the rip's edges, bending them inward. The tear began to shrink. The shadow creature thrashed violently, striking the human ship again and again. Each strike warped the battleship's shape, but it adapted instantly. It remembered. It corrected. It refused to break. Slowly, painfully, the creature was pushed back through the rip. The tear narrowed to a thin line. The shadow creature's eyes flashed one last time, full of hatred and hunger. Then the tear closed. Space snapped back into place like a sealed wound. The system became quiet again. The alien fleet remained frozen, watching the human battleship drift in silence. The warship had won. But it did not celebrate. It simply stayed in front of them, damaged, still glowing faintly, like a guard who never stops watching. And Admiral Korth understood the most terrifying truth of all. That creature was not a single enemy. It was a reminder. Something out there was still trying to enter. Silence filled the system. No alarms. No distortion. No shadow. Only drifting debris from alien weapon fire and the faint glow of the human battleship standing alone where the tear had once been. Its hull was scarred now. Entire sections looked melted and rebuilt at the same time. Symbols across its surface faded slowly, like cooling metal after great heat. The alien fleet did not move. No one wanted to break the quiet. Admiral Korth finally spoke, his voice lower than before. Status report. Distortion field gone. Local space stabilizing. No sign of the creature. There was a pause. And the human vessel? The answer came softly. It remains operational. As if hearing the question, the human battleship slowly turned toward the alien fleet. Not aggressively. Not defensively. Just aware. A transmission appeared across every alien screen once more. You scanned us. Korth stepped closer to his display. Yes, he answered honestly, knowing the ship could somehow hear him. Another message formed. You searched for weakness. The Admiral did not deny it. Instead, he asked the only question left. What are you? There was a long delay. Long enough that several alien officers thought the connection had ended. Then the reply came. We are what remained. The bridge crew exchanged confused looks. Remain from what? Images filled their screens again, but different from before. Not battles this time. Evacuations. Dying colonies. Stars collapsing. A civilization fighting something too vast to defeat directly. Humans building fleets not for conquest, but survival. Human engineers designing ships that could adapt mid-battle. Human scientists teaching machines to learn from loss. Each failure became an upgrade. Each defeat became data. The battleship before them was not a simple warship. It was the result of countless endings. The last line of defense built by a species that had refused extinction. Another message followed. You are not alone in this galaxy. But you are not ready. The alien fleet understood now. The shadow creature had not been hunting them specifically. It had been expanding. And if the human battleship had not been there, the alien empire would have fallen without understanding why. Korth felt something new replace fear. Respect. You protected us, he said quietly. The answer appeared. We protected the line. The admiral realized something deeper. The human ship had not saved them out of kindness. It had done its duty. The Guardian did not ask who deserved safety. It simply stood in the path of the dark. One final set of data appeared on alien screens. Coordinates. Dozens of them. Spread across distant sectors. Guardian-class signatures detected. The alien officers stared in shock. There are more, someone whispered. Yes. The human ship's hull began to dim further. Energy levels decreased to stable but minimal. It was returning to watchful silence. Before ending communication, one last message appeared. Do not scan again. Not a threat. A warning. Admiral Korth straightened. We will not, he said. For the first time in his long career, he ordered his fleet to power down all scanning systems near human territory. Not out of fear. But understanding. As the alien armada slowly withdrew, the human battleship remained alone in the dark. Silent. Still. Waiting for the next tear in space. And somewhere far beyond known stars, something moved again. But this time, the galaxy knew one truth. Humans were not the rising power others feared. They were the ancient wall no one noticed. Until they almost removed it.